All right, welcome everybody to the Older Vermonters Caucus. Great to see you here today. We're getting toward the end of the legislative session. I think we're going to probably wrap up on the 10th. So coming right up, that would be in line with our typical length of the legislative session if we were to adjourn on the 10th. The budget is being voted out of Senate, and then kind of just a quick process for y'all. Once the budget's voted out of the Senate, then and they pass it, it comes back to the House. More than likely, they'll ask for what's called a committee of conference. And the Senate will appoint three individuals, the House will appoint three individuals, and they will kind of work out the differences of where between the two bodies, and then it comes back to us to vote on, and typically that signals the end of the legislative session. And any legislation that's still out there, because this is the second half of the biennium, is now gone. And we adjourn, and then obviously election this fall. So it starts all over again next January. But just kind of an update. One of the things that I've been really following, reached out to Mike Fisher, been pretty hectic time of year, of course, is the Medicaid savings. We've been really following that with the caucus here and hope that we can see some changes in that program to make sure low-income, older Vermonters have access to health care when they turn 65 and transition from Medicaid to Medicare. So hopefully, I know that was passed out of the Senate Health and Welfare Committee, and just hoping it saw some movement in the budget as it came out of Senate Health and Welfare, which was just voted out. So, I mean, came out of Senate Appropriations. So anyways, I don't know if anyone else has anything that they would like to bring up before we get started with our presenters today.
I have a related announcement about legislation this year. We're excited as social workers, the Social Work Compact.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
It's relevant to older adults because social workers are among the professions who accept Medicare as an insurance, unlike typically licensed mental health counselors, at least historically, are not. So what the Social Work Compact says is that for states, nearby states usually, maybe some others, someone could move here from Maine and see Vermont clients.
Mhm.
They would have to just fill out a simple application, and they wouldn't have to sit an exam, maybe just the jurisprudence exam. They wouldn't have to get their hours here all over again. So it's really a great way to make mental health care more accessible, and it's great news for older adults because they can see us for free.
And the governor signed that bill yesterday. So that is now law in Vermont, H543, if anyone has some question on that. So good news there. Okay. Any other announcements or anything? Getting a little feedback out there, so make sure you're muted, please. Otherwise, I'll figure out who it is and mute you. Okay.
I think.
Great. So, hang on.
It's
Just gonna this. All right. All right. So thank you for all being here today. Today we have our friends from our senior centers and Meals on Wheels program from across the state, VASCamp, and just for full transparency, I am the director of the Vermont Association of Senior Centers and Meal Providers. So that's my other job. Just want to make sure that everyone knows that. I'm lucky to have both jobs, and I'm glad to have Deanna here today, who's going to kick us off. So thank you so much for being here and giving us an update on what's going on across the state with our Meals on Wheels programs and senior centers.
Great. Thank you so much. We're thrilled to be here. You're going to hear from voices around the state and about our favorite topic of senior centers and meal providers, at least my favorite topic to talk about. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. And can you see our slideshow now?
Looks good.
Okay.
Looks good.
So we're here from the Vermont Association of Senior Centers and Meal Providers. We call ourselves VASCamp. And VASCamp, it was formed in 2014. It's a network of senior centers and meal providers. We meet monthly to share ideas, support each other, and make connections throughout the state. Some of the board of directors are here with us today. And then, as Dan mentioned, he's our very first ever staff employee of VASCamp. The mission of VASCamp is to support senior centers and meal sites on a statewide level and promote the growth and quality of these centers, strengthening professional skills of the staff and volunteers. And it's our vision to have a dynamic network of senior centers that is responsive to the state's growing older population. And of course, that is all of our mutual goal is to support older Vermonters wherever they're at. Some great progress this year since we gave this update last year. Thanks to Bernie Sanders and the ACL grant, VASCamp has made some wonderful progress, including hiring a first staff member. It had been all volunteer-based previously, and we just could not accomplish all of the things that we knew we wanted to accomplish. So under Dan's guidance, we've been able to file and receive just in April our 501c3 status. Collectively, we supported more than 20 senior centers to implement and expand free foot care programs and evidence-based wellness programs. VASCamp kicked off its strategic planning and is looking to the future, as well as continuing our monthly meetings with all senior centers throughout the state, which there are about 40. And we completed a survey with Dale as well to really understand the status, and I'll talk more about that at the end. So why we know this is important, we know these that senior center participants have higher levels of health, social interaction, and life satisfaction. So keep that in mind as we travel virtually around the state here in just a moment. And we do have members to show you a little bit what is happening in their area. We're going to start off with White River Junction and have Mark Bradley here from Bugby here to talk about what's happening in the White River Junction area.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here today. Got a full lunchroom today. It's baked haddock. That's everyone's favorite on the menu. I'm going to talk a little bit about life at Bugby Senior Center. And thank you, Deanna, for running the slides. So go to the next one. So our mission is to enable individuals over 60 years of age to remain independent and involved members of the community. We look not only at the home, but across the entire community for opportunities to keep people connected. We have a variety of programs, including nutrition, wellness and enrichment, social services, and more. There's always more. Nutrition probably accounts for about 2/3 of all the services we provide. Last year, we served over 30,000 meals, including about 10,000 here at the center during community lunch and 21,000 Meals on Wheels. We do night openings about once a month throughout the year. Those are always full to capacity. I think it's safe to say that the congregate numbers have fully rebounded from the pandemic. So we are going strong. Our enrichment activities, our attendance over the past year was about 12,000 different people, more than about 1,000 unduplicated. The fitness classes are about as popular as social events and recreation. We do multi-week classes and workshops, some in conjunction with community partners offsite, and the activity rooms here are almost always full. We have a Bugby Talks series where we'll invite presenters on a bunch of different topics. It could be everything from Medicare changes to how to present oxen at the state fair, all kinds of general interest, anything to bring people in. And we also do, we work with Senior Learning Network, and they do sort of virtual tours and presentations from museums and cultural sites across the country. So that engages some of our homebound people. Everything we do, we try to weave in opportunities to socialize and connect. Most activities are free or by donation, and as much as possible, activities are led by volunteers. And we've noticed this helps with attendance because they are championing the program, and it helps keep people engaged, which is right up our alley. So people have purpose when they come to the senior center. So how does it all happen? Well, we're fortunate to have a pretty diverse revenue stream. So funding that we get from the Older Americans Act and from the local municipalities are supplemented through participant contributions, donations, grants, volunteer time, in-kind gifts. And it's pretty well spread out. We've been doing pretty well with grants, but could always use more. How do we spend our budget? Well, about half of it is related to the nutrition program. About 40% is for all of our other programs, and then the remainder is for management and fundraising costs. And I do want to highlight and stress that we get significant support from our volunteers. Unlike in other states, all of our Meals on Wheels drivers are volunteers, and we are up to 6 routes. We just added a new route this past year, so that means managing a fleet of 30 people, about 30 people every week, plus all of our wait staff, and we have volunteer receptionists and the activity leaders. So I try to thank them at every opportunity we can. So thank you to Bugby volunteers. So where are we headed from here? So over the next year, we are trying to find opportunities to connect with the homebound more. We are putting some work into our aging from home programs and wellness programs. Our social worker is retiring at the end of the year, so we're reevaluating our approach to delivering social services. And we've been working a lot with our planners in the municipality and VTrans to make sure that seniors have a voice in housing, transportation, and local development. We're always working to improve digital skills and access to digital resources. It's such a huge part of civic engagement now, and seniors are definitely, we want to make sure that they're included in that. And something we've started talking about is trying to make it easier to ask for help, or finding ways of reframing the need to ask for help. We've noticed that people who are reluctant to ask for help, what we see in some of the data is that their quality of life indicators are almost universally lower. So we're trying to make it a little bit more seamless to get involved. So yeah, so with that, well, thank you very much for the chance to talk, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the other senior centers.
Great. Next on our tour around the state, we're going to head to Burlington and ask Andrea to share with us.
Hi. The Heineberg Community Senior Center is located in the new north end of Burlington. So we're up on the north side of the city. And we work closely together also with a number of partners, including AgeWell, Hannaford, the UVM Medical Center, UVM itself. The social work note, we are about to have our first social work intern for the next academic school year. So we're really looking forward to that. That's been a great process. One of the things that we've focused most on over the last year or two has been food insecurity. And if you were here just before we got going, you got a little bit of a tour of today's lunchroom. With support from ARPA funds from the city of Burlington and a capacity grant from Vermont Food Bank, we've been able to offer 2 days a week free lunches to 30 seniors. And we also partner with Agewell and Trio. We generally do an outdoor chicken barbecue at the end of the summer that gets sold out pretty quickly. We usually serve about 100 folks at that event. And Mark spoke about volunteers. I do also want to acknowledge that the Heineberg is really run by volunteers. I, as the director, work 30 hours. I have a 15-hour-a-week admin assistant. And other than that, everything we do is done by volunteers. So if you take me back to the last slide, Deanna. Yeah, so Bone Builders is a class that we offer a couple of times a week. There's also Tai Chi and yoga and line dancing and all kinds of health and wellness activities that people can participate in for free. And then we also offer a lot of socializing activities outside of meals. Bingo is about to get started, so you may hear a bit of that in the background. We also try to do a lot of special events during the year. We just had a great eclipse party. Last summer, we had an auctioneer come and appraise people's special items. We did a field trip last year, and I hope again this year on Juneteenth to the Rokeby Museum. And that was a really great opportunity for folks who live here to get exposure to history and a museum that they may not really be able to get to on their own. It's kind of a hike down south to Heinsberg. And so we have a van and took people on that trip. I also just want to speak to the importance of Vast Camp over the last couple of years for us. Being a partner with Vast Camp has allowed us to bring foot clinics to our folks. That was something that hadn't happened since before the pandemic. And foot care is a lot more than just clipping someone's toenails. Really gives a professional a chance to interact with people, to see them over time, take note of any developing issues, and give them really good foot care, which is tremendously important for people's ability to stay active, to have good balance and avoid falls. So we're really appreciative of that. And I will again tie back to Mark. We are in the process of looking for some grants to support that work continuing forward. Vast Camp has also, for me as a relatively new director who's been here about 2.5 years, really provided an opportunity to learn from other directors and programs around the state. And that's been really helpful to me in my work here. So there you see, with funding from Vermont Food Bank, we have farm shares that we purchase from the Intervale Farm, both winter and summer. And folks can come in and choose whatever items that they like from that produce. It's all local, organic, and we also use some of it in our meals programs down in that salad there. I think, oh, one thing I wanted to note is that tomorrow we are having the first in a series of monthly crockpot cooking classes to be taught by nursing students from the UVM Medical Center. Another great partnership that's come around with a local primary care practice, the nursing students from UVM, and Hannaford, who's providing funding through their chef grant for that project, and a way to help seniors with fairly minimal effort prepare a really nutritious and delicious meal for themselves at home. Folks who need one will get a crock pot to take home. And we're really looking forward to having this over the next year or so as part of our offerings. And I will wind it up there, Deanna. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. So next, we had planned to pop over to Castleton, to the Castleton Community Center. I'm not seeing Joanne online here, but Joanne, if you're there, you can pop up. Otherwise, I'll just give you a very quick tour as we go through. She sent me her slides, and they have a congregate meal program. This is a picture in their community dining room. They have a robust wellness program and implemented evidence-based programs through the grant that we've mentioned a few times. They have a wonderful inspirational transportation program, and like mentioned in other sites, activities. So I'm sorry we missed Joanne, but that's a little bit of a clip of what's happening there from her. And next we're gonna pop down to Woodstock, to my site, the Thompson Center. So we serve Woodstock, Barnard, Bridgewater, Pomfret, and many of the surrounding towns. We serve about 1,700 people annually in our rural area. We have a variety of in-house and online programs, things that have become hybrid since the pandemic. And we're finding that's how people like to interact in multiple ways in different spaces. We host some programs offsite and some intergenerational programs as well. But everything from yoga shown here to hybrid virtual programs and educational and informational talks as well. We love social events and feel that this is a critical part of engagement and avoiding social isolation. We do fun trips and have yummy dinner programs. And the top left photo is a picture of our advisory group. This is not part of the board, but is a monthly meeting where our participants can hear what's going on behind the scenes, offer feedback and ideas. So we really have participant involvement in the programs and offerings that we have here. And I feel like it's been a wonderful way that we've been able to evolve to meet the needs of our specific community. One of the things that I'm most proud of here is our Aging at Home support program. We offer a very robust medical equipment lending program. We provide referrals to vetted local providers, caregivers, housekeepers, and any type of service people might be needing to support their life at home. We have an education series that might be about care transitions or what to do after surgery or how to hire a caregiver or how to downsize. One of our most recent additions to our Aging at Home program in response to our community survey is to add a handyman for small odd jobs to our staff. This program almost breaks even. It supports itself pretty much. We ask for a donation of $35 an hour, which is really reasonable for home odd job type projects. But we do fund those projects for people who can't afford that suggested donation. But the feedback has been really wonderful. If someone has a porch board that's loose or needs to get air conditioners in and out of windows or change light bulbs or even put in some insulation if it's a small enough job, we can send our guy out. We call him Bob the Builder. And people are really loving this type of support. And it's what we found is the thing that was hardest for them to get and maintain living at home. We've also become an official satellite of HomeShare Vermont in the past year, and we're facilitating HomeShare matches and allowing HomeShare Vermont to expand to our region in Windsor County. We have a robust transportation program, partner with AARP for tax preparation, and we're a member of the Village to Village network, which has been a good resource for us in expanding the Aging at Home program. We were very active. Unfortunately, our area was hit with a lot of flooding in the past year. And what I'm finding is so interesting is the senior center here has become a really pivotal point to respond in emergencies. And that was everything from getting grocery and food items out to about 65 homes that, day or two after the flooding, to getting people to dialysis, working with our local emergency officials to get through on roads that were closed, and then bringing them to appointments. So that's an important piece of what we do here. And then, of course, our nutrition program. We've really invested in our culinary team, and people are loving the meals and coming here to socialize and have some good food together. We serve about 120 meals a day, about half to homes and the other here to our center. For every special event, we're at the point of waiting lists, and we're working on expanding our program to accommodate and not have to turn people away. Our growth in our Meals on Wheels program over the past 10 years is 115%. Up to around 12,500 every year. And that was much greater during the pandemic, over 18,000. So we're bursting at the seams, not only in the dining room, but in our program spaces as well. And these are just a couple of pictures from our different spaces. And that brings me to my last slide about what's happening at the Thompson. We're on year 2 of 5 of our strategic plan, and our primary goal right now is increasing our kitchen size and capacity, and dining room and program spaces as well. And we're in the midst of a capital campaign to raise funds for expanding our building and being able to keep up with the need and demand here. So that finishes our tour around the state, and I'll jump back to VASCamp for just the closing of our time here with you. Vermont senior centers and meal providers, as you can see, are on the front lines of supporting socialization and engagement and preventing isolation. We're a key part in the state's efforts to support healthy aging and prevent or delay institutionalization. We were part of the Age Strong Vermont planning group, and we're proud to be able to lend the senior center voice to that important initiative. And I think if you take away anything from today's session, it's why it's so important to have a strong support network for senior centers and meal providers. We know that the census projections in Vermont indicate that the people age 65 to 79 are still the fastest growing age group in Vermont, and we want to be there and ready to support that group. Some of the challenges senior centers are facing, according to our statewide survey that Dale helped VASCamp to implement, nearly half of the 30 respondents operate on an annual budget under $100,000 a year, and 20 sites ranked the revenue received from the Older Americans Act funds as one of their lowest revenue streams. We all depend very heavily on fundraising, and that can indefinitely be challenging in the current environment. For those reporting, the average meal reimbursement was $3.89 per meal, with the average cost being $10 per meal. And as the number of meals served increases, that gap between the funding and the cost grows for us. If we serve 30,000 meals a year annually, and the cost increases by 30 cents a meal, this is an additional $9,000 in funding that we must fundraise or find to keep up. Also, 16 sites reported that there is a transit stop near them, but 18 sites reported transportation significantly impacts their participation. Physical space was another challenge reported, and the aging volunteer base and enough staffing and staff turnover were other issues that senior centers reported on our annual survey. So VASCamp goals for the coming year. We're working on finalizing the use and reporting of the ACL grant that has allowed us to get to where we are, including the capacity building of VASCamp to support senior centers and meal providers, and do the final reporting on the free foot clinics and evidence-based programs that have been implemented. We're very thankful to Age Well for being the fiscal sponsor before we had our 501c3 and helping us through that very laborious grant reporting process. So thank you, Age Well, for that support. We also want to continue to raise awareness about the critical link between strengthening senior centers and preventing isolation, and sharing best practices and innovations with each other. We also need to seek sustainable and long-term support of senior centers and meal providers. So those are our big goals for 2024. And we want to close by saying thank you for your time, and also that you're invited. If you're in the community and would like to come to a senior center to see what we're about in your area or anywhere you're traveling in Vermont, there is a map on our website at vascamp.org. And of course, Dan can tell you, or any of those of us on the board would love to talk about this and how you can be involved. So that is our update from VASCamp and senior centers and meals providers around the state.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Deanna. Really some great information. You put together a great presentation there. Thank you. We got a question here from POA.
Can I give a brief update from
Of
MSAC?
course.
I've
Yeah.
got 5 agenda
So
items
say
to
who you are.
buzz through. Hi, everybody. I'm Poa Mutino. I am I've been at the Montpelier Senior Activity Center for 1.5 years, working 30 hours a week as the Feast Senior Meals Program Manager for the city of Montpelier. We're currently one of the only municipality-run senior centers and meal programs. Senior centers more so, but meal programs less so, I think, statewide. And it really hinders us. So right now, one of my things to bring up to you is I am in the process of working with the city to turn Feast into a 501c3, so we can become a network partner with the food bank. And I think will regain popularity with the membership of the senior center, because we became unfavorable to them during the pandemic because we ran such a deficit, and also some very complicated dynamics that I believe have undergirdings and entitlement and other things relating to some pushback that the membership have had against our in-house chef. But that's a conversation for another day off the record. And on the record, I'd like to say to everybody 2 things. One, I'm recruiting board members for our highly probable change to a 501c3. We are going to need to really work on the budget. Our food costs will go down because we'll become a network partner, but we will suddenly it'll be the board of directors who are responsible for meeting the budget every year. Currently, we're actually going to have an easier time meeting the budget of 501c3 because we don't get any of the municipal, those taxes that you get from every town. The ones for Montpelier and Berlin go to the senior center, not the meal program.
Gotcha.
And we're not on the warning, so we're not actually allowed to ask city council for money. So there's some complicated politics that will come a lot easier when we are our own 501c3. Also, there's a 75% chance that I'm going to be leaving my position September 1st. So if you know of anyone who wants a fairly lucrative, I make $29 an hour, almost $28.50, and I'm 30 hours a week, which is a really convenient number of hours per week to work. If you know of anybody who wants my job, have them get in touch with me. And we are on a transit stop, so you wouldn't need a car. Lastly, but not leastly, did anyone else not qualify for Meals on Wheels grants in 2024? We just got an email yesterday.
So this is through Meals on Wheels America?
Yep.
Yeah, Deanna and I kind of briefly touched on that yesterday. And I guess that I'm not sure, who heard what, but
Yeah.
yeah.
We were told they couldn't provide feedback on why, but they did note that it has something to do with like census of who basically most economic need, which we think our zip code might have. Our zip code and the fact that we were the last Meals on Wheels America site in the country to submit our membership dues. We were 3 months delinquent. The chief compliance officer, a lawyer from Meals on Wheels America, called me personally, and I had to smooth talk him about that. And we also held on to a $20,000 check from them for 6 months until the city approved my budget to spend the money from our last.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the inside scoop. And last but not least, I'm running for governor, and I am youth focused and older adult focused. So if you want to see more welfare for older adults, if you want to see somebody who will get things done and who isn't a Republican sitting comfortably in the governor position, vote for Poa Mutino. I don't have to say anything else political, but just consider me and consider having me to your senior center if you do any sort of education about statewide candidates. I'd be happy to come and
All right.
speak.
Thanks for being here, Poa. Great. Do we have any other questions or anyone want to bring anything else up? I do want to point out real quick, Mark had talked about reframing asking for help, and that really struck home with me. And I think that, that's something that we should collectively think about, making sure people understand that there are services available when they need them, and it's okay to ask for them. I think that was one of the advantages we saw with the Foot Clinic, that put a healthcare professional right kind of in a real intimate one-on-one with older Vermonters from across our state, and gave them the ability to have that conversation. And I know Molly here's from Cathedral Squares doing some of the same work. And so just being able to make sure people understand that there is help available and it's okay to ask for it is really important. So I just wanted to kind of circle back to that. And I really love the crock pot cooking. I think that's pretty awesome. And I know that, look at that, we got some fireworks up there. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a neat little program that, the nice thing about a lot of our senior centers across the state is that they, have these little ideas, these initiatives. They, really try to make it work at a real grassroots level and to help the people in their community. So that was really good to hear.
The chef grant is going to be available again for funding.
Yes. Yeah, the chef grant. And there's also a conference coming up through that tri-state learning collaborative that's coming up here. It's an online conference. So I can definitely send some information on that. Andrea, yeah,
Just
go
want to
ahead.
jump in to say, and it's focused on inclusion, which is something we're doing a lot of justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion work here on an organizational level. And that's what they're focusing on this year. And for any people who are part of that chef grantee program, they're making the attendance free. So that's a really nice bonus.
Great. Yeah, that is a good group, really trying to help spread some good information around and help people in obviously our rural part of our country. So yeah, is there any other comments or anything people want to bring up as we towards the end of our caucus today?
I just would say that even though they seem like little small projects or little ideas, they make a big impact to the individuals who are participating and receiving those, small projects in one area are a big impact.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a nice thing is being able to work kind of one-on-one, especially in a community setting. And as we see Vermont's population aging, as you were talking about at the beginning of your presentation, Deanna, I think we're going to see the need for senior centers to be kind of that community anchor, downtown community anchor, and making sure that we're having the ability to kind of engage the next generation of older Vermonters is going to be important to with the programming that's offered and access to services. And I think we're going to be able to really meet that need for sure across Vermont and in rural Vermont as well. Always try to not forget about our little small nonprofits up in the Northeast Kingdom and more rural parts of our state. So. All right.
Meg has her
Meg,
hand up.
I see your hand up. It's right behind the word live, so it's kind of hard to see. So sorry.
Well, I am alive. So first, I just wanted to say thank you so much, not just for the presentation, but just for the phenomenal work that you're doing. And I know I hear from people who attend your programs and your meals. And so just thank you. I know it's an uphill slog. I know lots of nonprofits are represented here and we face similar challenges, but I just really appreciate it. And then just to remind you that the Alzheimer's Association is always willing to partner with you. I know we've done programs in a lot of your locations. This year we did make 3 short videos. And by short, I mean like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, with actual Vermonters living with the disease, sort of just sharing why getting tested matters and how they approach the disease. So we can do some really informal things if that makes sense, and love to add to the multi-generational impact by having our interns go out and be that liaison. And I know we were down at the Bugby and have been around at other places with that. So for anyone on these calls in general, if you want information around awareness or connection around dementia, all kinds of dementia and caregiving, please reach out and we're happy to set up an education program or figure out how to bring information to your constituents. But thank you so much.
And along that same lines, S302, Meg is going to be in the Human Services Committee tomorrow at 9:15, giving us a kind of an overview on that bill. I don't know if you want to say a few words about it while can I put you on the spot?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's passed the Senate. We're testifying in the House. This is a bill that is asking to include dementia and brain health and cognitive risk information with other existing public health campaigns. And it focuses both at the provider level to try and help providers understand the importance of diagnosis, how to diagnose, the importance of the annual Medicaid and Medicare wellness visits, and the importance of the care partner so that it's a dyad. And then on the public side, educating the public. So if you were running an exercise program, for instance, you would have information included that says exercise is good for your whole body, and it also is good for your brain and can reduce your risk for dementia, possibly reduce your risk for dementia. So really not doing what you guys do, not reinventing the wheel, but really looking at public health work that's already being done, particularly in the elderly sector, and trying to get ahead of it by really double incentivizing people to take on some healthy behaviors, and then working with medical providers so that when people go and say, hey, I think I do have something going on, the providers are prepared to make a diagnosis for people. So all of this is part of our work as we're ramping up in the age of treatments. So people, when we have treatments available in Vermont, you have to be at the really early stages. And so we're just really doing everything we can with Dale, with DOH, with a lot of you partner organizations to destigmatize, to build awareness, and to give people the tools to talk about brain health in the same way that they talk about, their muscles aching or their bones aching or all these other challenges that come with aging. And with the brain, it's just harder. It's a little more hidden. So that bill is about educating people to just sort of really enhance our structure for dealing with Alzheimer's and all other dementias in the future.
All right, thank you. Hopefully we can get that one across the finish line here in the last couple weeks of the session. So I really appreciate your advocacy on that and being available to testify tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. So, all right. thank you, everybody, and thank you, Deanna and Andrea, for presenting, and Mark, although he's had to run. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all soon. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.